Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It is me, Mr. Cameron, and today I'm doing a scene-by-scene breakdown of Spider-Man Beyond Negative. Before we get into it, if you haven't already seen, I think by this point, the official trailer of my own fan film, Captain America: The Taskmaster Trials. I think that's on my channel now. I actually don't know when this is releasing, but I'm guessing the official trailer is out by this point. So I'm going to do a scene-by-scene breakdown, but quickly I'm going to get my reviewed thoughts on it, because I haven't seen this film in like 4 months by this point. It was very different than I remember. There were a lot of better parts, but I feel like they kind of just remade Spider-Man 3. And it's very jarring when you see it happen and take place, because there's no point for them to remake Spider-Man 3. And it feels really weird that they're trying to throw in all the weird, like, lines, like, good riddance, and if you want freedom, get religion, or whatever the line is, or, I want to put some dirt in your eye, or all those lines, they kind of just felt thrown in, like, they get with, MJ, and then they immediately break up, just like that whole thing that happened, and it feels really weird that it just kind of took Spider-Man 3, because I feel like they could have just done that, and I don't see why they had to remake it. Like, it even went down to, like, Martin Lee killing Uncle Ben, which there was no reason they had to make Spider-Man 3, and if they had to, get rid of the bad parts. Like, if they really wanted to remake Spider-Man 3, I just don't see why. They had such a good story with Martin Lee, and I feel like instead they decided to say, how about we make Spider-Man 3 with a different villain? And it's just kind of weird. But it's still a very good film. I still really enjoyed watching it, and I know it sounded really bad just there. I loved watching it. It just is really weird, like, watching Spider-Man 3 instead of watching Spider-Man 3. Okay, scene-by-scene breakdown, it means I go scene-by-scene, and I talk about them. So the opening scene is Joel Harris, and I believe seeing the symbiote. It's very dark. You can't see much. It very heavily sets up the symbiote plot. And it does help set up the latter part of the film. However, I would say it's a good scene, and it does help set up a lot of the rest of the film with the symbiote. Then there's a scene between J. Jonah Jameson and Peter Parker, and they're handing the photos and stuff, and it's a lot taken from Spider-Man 3, but it's still a very enjoyable scene. All these scenes are very fun. It's just a fun movie. So, it's directly taken from the film. However, I could not care, and it adds some stuff to the plot, yeah. Moving on, we have the happy birthday scene to Peter. Then they kind of start talking, and they talk about Feast and stuff, and how they want to meet Martin Lee. And it helps service the plot, but it's not anything that, like, it's a forgettable scene. Next we have the scene between Martin Lee first meeting. I believe that's what this scene is. Yes, first meeting, Peter and Aunt May. And it's very clear that Aunt May was green screened in. And it's not clear to someone who can't, like, see it. It took me a second to realize why it looks so weird. But once I saw it, I was like, oh my god, they just green screen her in. And honestly, this is what I wish the film would do for most of it. Like, I don't see why they had to use the green screen for backgrounds. I would way rather than green screen people into scenes, because it looks way better. And I think if they had, like, a really, like, they kind of had more time to edit and stuff, I think that could have looked like she was actually in that room. Next, but it's still a good scene. It has, like, it builds development. Again, it's a scene-by-scene breakdown, but, like, there's not much to say in the early parts of it. Because, again, a lot of it comes down to the end of the video where I kind of do a recount and stuff. But, yeah, I'd say this. Then there's a scene with Kingpin, I believe. And it's an interesting scene. We kind of get little snippets of him. And it's very mysterious. I can't really break down a scene that you can't really get much out of. Next, we have, like, a big sequence. This is a big sequence. We have the bully scene. Bullying this literal, like, random girl for no reason. Like, there's no reason Shockers should be bullying for this. This is a random person. Then then Daredevil comes up. I actually don't think it's Matt Murdock in this universe. I've not rewatched Hobgoblin in a while. I believe it's Matt Murdock. I'm not sure, actually. I think it's another person. But I don't know. Maybe it is. It's a good fight scene. It services the plot well because this sets up Daredevil Daredevil the First Defender with Kingpin. And I'm guessing he's the headline character in it. I think that seems very likely. And it's a good fight scene. It looks very bloody, and it kind of sees what we're going to see in Daredevil the First Defender. And it's a good fight scene. It's a really good fight scene. And then Spider-Man shows up, and Spider-Man and Daredevil start fighting for literally no reason. And it's a good fight scene. It services the plot well. It doesn't really service the plot because Daredevil then leaves the movie completely. But I feel like because this is like a Spider-Man 3 remake, they didn't know what they wanted to do with Matt Murdock. But I feel like it sounds like I'm really digging into this movie with Spider-Man 3. I really like this movie. And I know I'm making it sound like I hate it and it's awful. And I know that's how I'm making it sound. I just find it a very weird directing choice to remake Spider-Man 3. However, I do like this film. I just want to make that very clear. This is a really good fan film and really fun to watch. I just am digging into it in this review, and I do that with all my scene by scene breakdowns. I believe I did Nightwing Rebirth, or that might be coming up. So yeah. Oh, Prom Night's the one that came out before this. Matt Murdock and Spider-Man then get on good terms for some reason, and then Daredevil just runs away. It's something. Yeah. Now, Spider-Man goes away. And then there's a talk between Martin Lee and Peter. And this is actually one of the really good sequences in the film. I feel like it's these subtle scenes that do nothing towards the plot. However, it does help the plot. Because it does service their connection. And you can see how Martin Lee has this darkness about Uncle Ben. But I do like it. I really do like it. It's good. It's a fun scene and it adds a lot. Then they have this weird dude making a cure for Martin Lee. Then Peter's in bed and he gets out of bed and stuff. He runs into MJ and we're currently 13 minutes into the film and we finally get to see MJ. Yippee. So she's in it, and they have this really awkward conversation. Like, they really, like, they're like, hey, I need you two to be so awkward that the person watching wants to die of cringe. I know that's what they were going for. And, again, I know I'm making this film sound awful, but I'm ripping into it. But I do enjoy it. It's a fun scene. And I do like MJ in this film entirely, and especially in this part. Then we cut to Kingpin, who is screaming at a blank screen. Then Spider-Man finds out he's getting the key to the city. I wonder where I saw that before. And he immediately calls Ned, who I don't think has gotten a single bit of screen time yet. And then he does this weird skip and walks away. Now the dude who's making the cure. Now this is a weird scene, because he makes the cure. And then his powers don't go away immediately. So Martin Lee gets mad and just kills him. For no reason whatsoever. And it's like a weird thing. And now they're trying to pull in the Spider-Man 3 thing, where there's like the daughter. And oh my god, the daughter. And first off, it's so obvious that they're green screening into this environment. But there's at least one person who's actually here. But, it looks, none of them look related. But it's weird. It's, like, weird. And I like it, but, like, the daughter looks so sad in it. Like, she looks like something's, like something happened. And it's really weird. And then we have this fun sequence when Martin Lee gets rid of Kingpin. Kingpin throws a chair. And all I'm thinking during this scene is, did the chair hit something or someone and break something? Because I'm really curious if something or someone got hurt during the filming of that scene. And then it's the day of the Spider-Man parade, yippee. And aka, they finally want to make the film good. This is a good sequence. Like, the whole parade sequence is by far the best sequence in the film. I really like how it's, like, shot in an actual environment. And, in a normal fan film, this wouldn't be impressive. However, after all the green screen and dark shots, this big, bright thing with all the music really stands out. And then MJ and Peter are there. Peter's just dancing to the music. And then Peter runs away to deal with bugle work. And then Ned comes up. So it feels like this parade. And even we know that there aren't other people there, I do like it. Then we have this guy who's, like, giving the keys to the city. I do not know who this guy is. He's, like, there. And he appears later in the film, but I'll get to that. But I do not remember this person from Hobgoblin's Revenge. I don't even know if he was in it. But this random guy is presenting him. I feel like I missed something. But he gets a key to the city, and then Martin Lee gets called out to kill Spider-Man. Spider-Man gets in a fight with Shocker. And it's actually a really good-looking fight. Like, the CGI is the best it is in the film. Except for the train sequence, but I'll get to that. So, the train sequence is also a really good sequence, but I'll get to that. This is a fun fight scene. In my opinion, the dialogue scenes in the parade are the best part of the film. And then, in my opinion, this isn't the best fight scene of the film, though. But it's a good fight scene. I do like the Shocker part. And then Martin Lee shows up. And then they have a big fight. And then he summons a sword. And then disappears. And it's a good fight scene. And I do really enjoy seeing Martin Lee and stuff for the first time really fight Spider-Man. And it works. It really does work. Then we have the Peter and MJ scene. They get together. Oh, so sweet. And then it finds out Ned, he ditched Ned for MJ. Really weird. And then Ned's mad, but, like, this is the second scene he's in the whole film. I feel like I missed something in this period of time. But they decided to work on this project. Martin Lee screams at Kingpin. He leaves. Then Peter gets a symbiote. It's a good sequence. Then we get to watch him playing a video game. Because it's very clear that this is, like, a video game cutscene. And it's really weird. Because it's the way, like, the camera movement in it, it looks like a cutscene. And it's weird. Like, it genuinely looks, like, weird. And I don't know how to explain it. But if you were to see the swinging sequence, it just looks wrong. And then it has the weird Spider-Man 3 references. Like, when he is the symbiote, it kicks up to 11. Then Martin Lee gets a call, and then Peter reveals to Aunt May that, they find out that Martin Lee killed it, and then Uncle Ben, and then he reveals that he basically did. And it seems so weird, because in the film, Aunt May should really not have left Peter, and they do it again here. And it just doesn't feel right. Then we get a Freddy Krueger cameo, along with the guy from Halloween, and also Iron Man on his dresser. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Then he has the precinct thing. He finds out, oh no, there's an attack at the bank. So he goes to the bank, and they have this swinging sequence, which is taken directly from Spider-Man 3 at that point. And then it cuts to the real Spider-Man suit, and then it cuts to the shot from the film. Then he's in it, and then there's the train sequence, and this is the best fight scene in the film, because I think it's very good. I do like Martin Lee in it. I also like the use of his powers. I do like him, like, teleporting. Then it's a good fight sequence. It's really fun to watch. And then instead of having a good ending, Spider-Man just says good riddance, and then it just cuts. Like, he doesn't even walk through the portal. It just cuts. And then Peter just starts acting like a dick. Like, literally out of nowhere. And because it's a Spider-Man 3 ripoff, it's not just doing it. It's doing it in an hour instead of 2 hours. So it rushes this whole thing. And then immediately starts hating Peter. And then they get in a fight. And then he beats up Ned. And then he just runs away. And then steals a newspaper. And yeah. And then they go to the thing. And he got the paper thing. He got the job. And, well, they didn't get the job yet. That's later. And they have the class project. Which is a particularly useless scene. Because you can kind of see how Ned's, like, hurting in it. But there could have been ways to do it that didn't feel useless. And I do like this film, I promise. It's a really good film. And I know it making it sound, like, horrible. It's a really good film. I'm just ripping into it. But it's a good film. I really enjoy watching it. So please don't be like, oh my god, you hate this film. I really like it. And I have to keep saying it because I feel like I'm being so mean to it. Then we have Liz and I believe this is Flash talking to Spider-Man. And for some reason, Peter just immediately starts, like, flirting with Liz for no reason. And then he talks with Harry, and Harry's pissed. And then Aunt May's on his side now, for some reason. And he's actually being nice. And then Harry starts kidnapping a girl. And then... I'm skipping through the film. Peter breaks up with MJ. Because MJ has to do the thing from Spider-Man 3 and leave him. Because that's what Harry Osborn said. Oh yeah, so they broke up. And it's stupid. Because it's weird. There's no way they got together for literally 10 minutes. And then it immediately cuts to the scene of him getting the job. And us not even seeing how he's a fraud. But they tell us he's a fraud. With no evidence. And then he gets immediately fired by J. Jonah Jameson. Like, immediately gets fired. And immediately takes Peter's word for it. Like, they don't even research it. They immediately take Peter's word for it. And just say he's fired. And then even the actor of Flash, he just starts giggling at the end. And it's just a weird scene. And then we get a very fun scene. We have Peter walking through the streets doing the Spider-Man 3 dance. I don't know if the people who he's walking by are people who are on set or not. Because they look really confused when he does the pointing thing at the table. Then he goes into a room and then just starts dancing. Yeah, that's it. It's the cut. And then he's on the phone. And then he meets up with Liz. And of course you have to throw in the Gwen plot. So then they immediately go to the restaurant that MJ works at. And then they get in a fight, I believe. And then Liz leaves. And it's weird. And then Peter gets on a suit. And then the siren scene gets the sirens. And I do like it. I think it's a very creative way of doing the clock tower scene. And the suit falls off. And Flash Thompson becomes Venom. And we never see him again in the film. So then he's sitting at home. And we get another scene between Aunt May and Peter. It's a good scene. Then we have this random dude who, like, presented Spider-Man to the key to the city. Something flies at him. And that's the cut. That's it. He walks on a wall. Something falls on his hand. He shakes his hand. And then it cuts. I don't know if that's Miles Morales. Because it does reveal that Miles Morales is in it. And that could be, like, the spider bite. That's the only thing I could guess. But besides that, I have no clue what that scene is. And Peter is doing some digging on things and figures out Martin Lee is going to the school. Well, he doesn't. Does he figure it out? Yeah, he does. and he figures things out about Martin Lee because he's investigating him. And it's a very good thing to support the plot. So Martin Lee goes into the school and hypnotizes a teacher. And it's on the phone with Ned. And then Martin Lee assaults Ned. And then kidnaps Ned. And that's it. So I think it's a good way to do the plot. It's very different. It's still someone in danger, but I do like how they're like investigating and stuff. The call thing is very good. Yeah. And then they have a Spider-Man spying sequence, probably from a film. Then there's this really dark scene, which I don't get. It's like I can't see a thing in this talking scene. I think it's not Miles. I think it's Martin and Spider-Man. And then immediately when Martin uses his powers, all the lights turn on, which is really weird. And then there's the final fight, a 2-minute final action sequence. It's a 2-minute final act, and I think that's a kind of a waste. But there's a big final fight, and then I think after a minute even. Oh my god, it's not even a minute of a fight. It's a minute. There's a minute fight scene, and then he picks up the axe, and then Ned takes the axe for Peter. And no, Ned's dead. And it's a good scene. It's a good scene. I do like seeing Ned get murdered. Because I feel like he's not the best character for this film. I would way rather follow Peter and MJ. I don't feel like Ned's needed. And then Ned's all, immediately, besties with Peter. And it's very odd. And then he has his final words. And this is a good death scene. It's good. And the acting from Joel Harris is amazing. Ned's acting is great. And then he dies. And I think it's really good. Then there's a call from Kingpin to Martin Lee. And they kind of talk about it. And Martin Lee's like, hey, I can't go to the dark side. So then they help. And then Kingpin has a gun. And is about to shoot something. And then Matt Murdock comes around. And saves whoever he was shooting. And then he tries to chase down a car. Yeah, that's it. It's a weird scene. I don't get it at all. Maybe it's the opening to Daredevil, the First Defender? I'm not sure. Then we see Peter. And we're now in the epilogue. He, I think, throws away the suit. I'm rewatching this scene. He just drops the suit and walks away. So he drops the mantle, Spider-Man. And then he walks away. And then we have the scene where MJ immediately forgives Peter because Ned died. And then it cuts the credits. And then there's also the post-credit scene where Harry becomes Green Goblin. Yay. Okay, let's discuss this because I'm really tired and I also have a leg injury. Okay. This is a good film. So I'm gonna do 6 points because I'm very tired. So, I enjoyed this film. Doing a scene-by-scene rewatch. What I kind of wanted to do with these is kind of talk about a film scene-by-scene in a way. Because, again, it's very difficult to do a 0.25x speed breakdown. Those don't always do well. Those aren't always interesting. So I felt like with this, it kind of helps add something different in a way. I think doing this type of format with scene-by-scene helps add the idea of, let's go from this scene to this scene, talking about each one, kind of giving a review of the film. So, let's give my 6 points. I think this film is directed pretty well. I think if you kind of have to look at it, there's a lot of good shots in it. And then there's also a lot of shots that feel a bit weird. Shots that do not feel like they feel like they could have been done better. But I do like the shots in it. I feel like the shots in it are overall very good. As for editing, I think the editing in this is way better than Hobgoblin's Revenge. Is it perfect? No. I think a lot of it does. I think the Shocker fight scene is good. I think most of Martin Lee's stuff is good. Yeah. Story. Acting is next. Acting, very good. Joel Harris does an excellent job. Martin Lee does an excellent job. MJ, very good. Ned is decent. Ned's decent. Kingpin's pretty good. Now, I think Kingpin's really gonna shine in Daredevil. I didn't love Kingpin in this. Daredevil, speaking of Daredevil, he was decent in this. I think he really needs his own space, and I don't think he got that here. Yeah, let's move on. Story. I think the story in this is pretty good. And I know I kind of rips into the fact that it was taken from Spider-Man 3, and I do get that. But I think overall, it's still good. I think still, even though it's like a Spider-Man 3 ripoff, I think the overall story, it is enough of a, even though it's a lot taken, there's the parts that are original. It does it in its own light, and even though some of it's really stupid that it's taken, the stuff that isn't taken and that isn't stupid, I think is done very well. And I think the overall story, even though it's like a weird change, Spider-Man 3, is still good. Moving on to choreography. The fight scenes in this are decent. The punches don't always hit, but I think overall the choreography does look good. And I do think the camera work for it is also a bit weird, but I do think it's good. I think there's a few really good fight scenes, and I think there's a few not as good fight scenes. But I think like the punches sometimes don't land, and it's kind of clear that they could have moved the camera so it doesn't look like it did. But I feel like there's ways to alter it. But it still looks good. I think all the choreography still is pretty good in this. And then the music is just stolen. So, thoughts. Final thoughts. I still really enjoy this fan film. I think even though I kind of ripped into the fact that it was a Spider-Man 3 ripoff, I still really like this film. And I think the reason I say that I like it so much is because I think you can kind of feel the soul of it. Like, most fan films don't have, like, soul. Like, they're kind of just, like, films. And many fan films are just taken plots. And I think that's why I respect things like Spider-Man Prom Night so much. But I still do really like this film. And I think it's a very good fan film. And I think it's a really good fan film. And, yeah. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. I really enjoy Spider-Man Beyond Negative. Yeah, besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already seen the official trailer for my own fan film, Captain America: The Taskmaster Trials, that's on my channel now. Besides that, thank you so much for watching this video. See you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.